Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Taking a quick look here again at Solana, see what's going on. 239, 240 right here at this current price point. We can see it's tentatively working out the way that we want it to. In other words, price has pulled back since we last expected. The anticipation wasn't for it to bounce off this 238 level, which you could technically say has or hasn't happened yet, just based on the simple fact that it's bottoming out there. So tentatively in play, but again, too early to tell. The reason why is just based on it being a low volume weekend. There's not a lot going on right now. Bitcoin kind of stabilizing in its upper 96K range. I think if it can hold that level, Solana will continue higher. You just got to recognize though that Solana is showing a little bit of weakness here recently and is not really pushing up too hard when Bitcoin does. And it is pulling back a little harder than Bitcoin when Bitcoin pulls back. So again, those aren't like favorable, correlations, you could say. So just some things to be mindful of course. Now, when we take a quick look here at back-end liquidation levels, we're going to want to see if there's any extra heavy pockets there. I do also want to say thanks to my community. Appreciate the wonderful feedback. We took some solid profits on HBAR long, 60% in 2 days. Ordi, sorry, correction. That's a coin I'm going to cover later. Tau, of course, that is what Bitunix, I don't know how to say it, but that is what 7 days ago we took some nice 70% profit, but SUI 25% roughly in 12 hours. So good stuff there. I haven't been specifically trading Solana recently. We had taken some profits on a trade earlier in the month, but it's been a little while. Honestly, since it pulled back the way that it has, I've been waiting for it to break its descending trend line, which it did. But you don't just jump in blindly because you break a trend line. You want to look at some other things too. So that's why we're here. All right, so let's take a quick look. All preface aside, 245 to 250 is still that same area of liquidation to the upside. A bit heavier of a concentration than the lower ranges, but just know 230 to 232 is that support range, basically the local low, but also a heavier concentration there. So you might see a correlation here. You may recognize that, hey, these liquidation levels are just above or below recent candle wicks, and that's absolutely correct. The main reason why is because people keep shorting, or buying the longs, and they keep, until they find a good entry, that's where they're going to stick, right? So these are generally high leverage longs or shorts, and the reason why is just because that's kind of a common favorite nowadays. I don't fully understand it, but people do like to lose money, and they like throwing money against a wall, see if it sticks too. So that's takes a special person, I think, to do that. I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to lose money, so I'd much rather use low leverage. Just me personally. Anyways, what we're getting at here is that the liquidation delta is kind of choppy right now. We're not seeing like a massive like up or down or like a heavy concentration in either direction. That tells us that we're pretty much range bound, and we got to wait for the price to break out to be able to see what that looks like. So in a sense, the liquidation levels above us have more merit and have more incentive, you could say, to get hit than anything below us, because there's not a ton below us, right? And there's no like heavy inflow of like shorts versus longs. It's kind of like they're both battling it out until one of them wins. That's basically what it is. So you can just imagine a bunch of people trying to sell at the same time as everyone's trying to buy. That's what's happening right now. We're range bound. It's a common occurrence, but when range bound activity occurs for too long, it'll break out in either direction. So we want to see if we can anticipate this breakout, okay? And how you do that is a myriad of ways, but me, personally, I just look at the traditional indications outside of liquidation to kind of get some perspective. Because if we look at the SMAs on the daily, we're still over the 20-day SMA. Most coins are still there, so we're decent shape. But we can see there's some cracks in the glass where stochastic swinging down for the second time. That's a pretty firm indication that the momentum has stalled, if you will, and that another leg down could make sense. We're above 50 and below 70 on the RSI. That's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just kind of neutral. But the MACD is still diverging. So again, for the most part, the likelihood of the price going lower is greater. But from a short-term perspective, we've broken this descending trend line, and that could imply that we may be seeing a reversal. Because again, a lot of times when you see a downtrend, you're supposed to see range-bound activity followed by an ascending trend. We kind of skipped that range-bound situation. Instead, we went into an ascending trend to break the descending trend, and now we're in somewhat of a range-bound flaggish pattern. I don't love seeing this kind of pattern because it does kind of indicate that we could see the price pull back. Again, this is mostly a bearish sign where the price has weakness and it continues higher up with a false positive. We may see liquidation range swept here, but my anticipation is 249 will be hit first, and then we see the price pull back. Okay, so one more last little leg up here. You get all the late longs in, and then the price comes down. Pending Bitcoin doesn't break 100,000, that seems like a likely conclusion at this point. Again, that's only based on the momentum indicators that we can see here. If we take a look, of course, in the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we're having trouble holding above 50 in the RSI. Again, that's a difficult thing. But if you continue to range right here on the RSI, it's also difficult to read. And a lot of times you're best off waiting for it to pick a side. Okay. And I'm not just talking about the RSIs, I'm talking about a lot of other factors, but for right now, that's kind of a neutral-ish sign. Stochastic swinging down, MACD is soon to diverge here as well. A lot more ominous signs here, and being stuck under the 50-day SMA is not a good sign either. It really just implies this general trend here is still down, right? While we have established higher highs and higher lows, the volume is starting to taper off, and it's becoming more of a false positive. So I really don't think this is a very conducive environment for taking a long position. I think that considering a short might be a little bit more appropriate. I originally, a couple days ago, I think I was talking about shorting at 235, glad we waited. But now at this point, it does seem to be just kind of some ugly price action, and it's generally not something you want to take a long into. Take a look here. We can see we're breaking below the cloud, generally unfavorable. Lagging span is free and clear of the price action to the downside, and the conversion line and baseline are kind of close. Okay, so this is not like a definitive sign here telling us anything, but it is letting us know that Solana is riding the struggle bus. It's having some difficulties, and the likelihood of further downside makes sense on a smaller time frame. It could be a short-term pullback, but the general consensus here is that down would make more sense than up. But again, market makers are really good at kind of faking you out and making you think that you're good. So this descending trend break is one of the things that they do often, and generally consolidating below the cloud is another. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the beginning of a power 3 here, right, where we got the first consolidation phase. You got this little fake out here to trap late shorts. Bitcoin ramps up. We see this last little power up here where the price action goes up here and sweeps that liquidation. So I'm still slightly biased towards this liquidation range getting hit, but it's just a matter of it gets hit now or later, right? So again, it's a weird thing. It may never get hit at all, don't get me wrong. If the price just continues lower, Bitcoin drops its bottom and it continues further down, then none of this matters, and the price will go to the low 200s. But between now and then, I think it's best to presume that Solana is having difficulty increasing here, and that a breakout to the upside is less likely than a breakdown. Last thing, of course, you need to recognize this too as well. This is a weekend, folks, and volume tapers off. Volume starts to get really weird. The last 2 or 3 weekends, we've seen this strange pump or dump come Asian market open on Saturday. So Saturday night, I wouldn't be surprised another 10 hours from now or so, we're going to see some kind of weird manipulation from the Asian market, and then it'll correct itself come Monday morning. Okay, so it's a funky market right now. So generally best not to trade weekends. Okay, probably just hesitate at this point to take a trade. Wait until a definitive direction is chosen, and then maybe trade in that direction. Okay. Either way, we'll recover this here again on Monday. I'll post our playout chart on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, so you kind of have it there. Make sure you take advantage of our Bitunix deposit bonus next month, up to about 12K in deposit rewards there. All the details are down below if you want to check that out. Really cool stuff. No KYC or VPN. You do have to use my link to register. Okay. Either way, I hope you're having a good rest of your day. Wonderful weekend. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to me through Discord. It's probably the easiest way, or email too. Okay. CryptoCash.tech. We'll see you the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.